The arrival of the challenger. The celestial arena buzzed with anticipation, its crystalline walls shimmering under the light of twin artificial stars. Grandmaster Zarek Voss, an alien duel master with a reputation spanning galaxies, stood in his chamber, preparing for what he believed would be yet another routine victory. 3 centuries of undefeated combat had instilled in him a sense of invincibility. He had faced countless challengers, each one more predictable than the last. Zarek's third eye pulsed with mild annoyance as he reviewed the statistics of his next opponent on a holographic display. The data revealed that today's challenger was a human named Ethan Cole, a species barely capable of interstellar travel. The thought amused him: how could such a primitive being hope to stand against him? He had faced 3 humans before, each one falling within seconds, their attempts at combat laughable at best. Grandmaster, called Nexus, his chamber assistant, whose tentacles gracefully manipulated various holographic controls. The celestial arena awaits your presence. The crowds are particularly large today. Of course they are, Zarek replied, rising from his meditation pose. Who wouldn't want to witness another glorious victory? As he made his way through the corridors leading to the arena, he could feel the energy pulsing through the very walls of Nexus Prime, the greatest combat venue in known space. Carved from pure aluminium, its structure transformed the vacuum of space into a breathable atmosphere through methods that would likely baffle any human scientist. Your blade selection has been prepared, Nexus informed him as they approached the massive doors leading to the arena floor. However, I must inform you that your opponent has made an unusual request regarding weapons. Zarek chuckled at this revelation. Oh? What do they wish to use? A primitive metal sword? His laughter echoed through the corridor, causing nearby crystals to resonate in harmony. Let them bring their toys, it will make for entertaining history. Final preparations completed, Zarek adjusted his ceremonial armor, an intricate suit made from living metal that flowed seamlessly with his movements. As he stood before the great doors that would soon part to reveal the arena floor, he felt an invigorating rush of excitement coursing through him. When the doors finally opened, he strode onto the arena floor with practiced grace, greeted by a deafening roar from the crowd, a cacophony of sounds from thousands of different species. Yet amidst this overwhelming noise, something unexpected occurred. Laughter began to ripple through the audience as they caught sight of his opponent. Ethan Cole stepped into view from the opposite entrance. He was unremarkable by all appearances: average height, simple black training garments devoid of any ceremonial armor or enhancements. The betting odds flashed across screens around the arena, 1,000 to 1 against him. "Thank you for accepting my challenge," Ethan called out confidently, his voice cleared despite the vastness of the arena. Zarek raised an eyebrow at this unexpected display of poise. "Welcome, human Ethan Cole," he replied with a tone dripping in ceremonial politeness. "I trust you've made peace with your chosen deities." Ethan's smile was not one of nervousness but rather one that spoke volumes about his confidence, a predator's grin that intrigued Zarek more than it should have. "Your reputation precedes you, Grandmaster," Ethan said as he approached with casual grace that caught Zarek's attention. 300 years undefeated, that's quite an achievement. Zarek felt his irritation rise slightly. Who was this human to speak so boldly? "I must admit I'm curious what brings a member of such a young species to challenge me," he replied coolly. "I've studied all your matches," Ethan stated matter-of-factly. "Fascinating stuff, particularly your Andromedian championships." Zarek felt a flicker of surprise. Few beings remembered those early matches well enough to reference them specifically. Nevertheless, he dismissed it as mere bravado. "Very well," he said as they took their positions at opposite ends of the arena. "Let us begin." With that declaration ringing in their ears and anticipation hanging thick in the air, both warriors prepared themselves for what would surely be an unforgettable duel, one that would challenge not only their skills but also their understanding of combat itself. The duel begins. As the crowd settled into an eager silence, the atmosphere in the celestial arena shifted. Zarek Voss stood poised, his three eyes narrowing as he focused on his opponent, Ethan Cole. The alien Grandmaster had faced many challengers before, but there was something about Ethan's calm demeanor that intrigued him. The human appeared unfazed by the grandeur surrounding them, as though he were merely participating in a casual sparring match rather than a duel against one of the galaxy's most feared warriors. The call to arms. "Prepare yourself," Zarek declared, his voice echoing through the arena. With a swift motion, he drew his weapon, a sleek, shimmering blade forged from a rare metal that hummed with energy. The weapon was not just a tool of combat, it was an extension of his being, capable of slicing through the toughest materials known to any species. Ethan responded by unsheathing a simple yet elegant sword made of tempered steel. It was a stark contrast to Zarek's advanced weaponry, and the crowd murmured in disbelief. "Is that all he has?" someone whispered, while others exchanged skeptical glances. "Let's see what you've got," Ethan said, his voice steady as he took a combat stance. The human's confidence radiated through the arena, drawing both admiration and skepticism from the crowd. The first clash. With a swift motion, Zarek lunged forward, his blade slicing through the air with precision. Ethan sidestepped gracefully, his movements fluid and calculated. The crowd gasped as Zarek's strike missed its mark, and Ethan retaliated with a quick thrust aimed at Zarek's side. The alien master barely managed to deflect it with his weapon. "Impressive," Zarek remarked, masking his surprise with bravado. "But you'll need more than agility to defeat me." Ethan grinned. "I'm just getting started." The two combatants began exchanging blows in rapid succession. Zarek employed advanced techniques learned over centuries of training while Ethan relied on instinct and adaptability honed through years of practice on Earth. Each clash of their weapons resonated throughout the arena, creating a symphony of metal on metal. Unpredictable moves. As the duel progressed, Zarek found himself increasingly frustrated. Every time he attempted to predict Ethan's next move, the human would surprise him with an unexpected counterattack or evasive maneuver. It was as if Ethan was reading his mind or perhaps anticipating his actions based on subtle cues. "Stop moving like a wild animal," Zarek shouted in exasperation after narrowly avoiding another strike from Ethan. "Fight like a warrior." Ethan chuckled lightly. "I'm just trying to keep things interesting." The crowd was captivated by the unfolding drama. They had come expecting a quick victory for Zarek but were now witnessing an exhilarating contest that challenged their perceptions of strength and skill. A flashback to training. In that moment of intensity, Ethan's mind drifted back to his training days, endless hours spent honing his skills under the guidance of various masters back on Earth. He remembered how he had always been told that fighting wasn't just about brute strength, it was about strategy and understanding your opponent. He recalled the lessons from Master Aiden, who had emphasized adaptability. "Always be ready to change your approach based on what your opponent does," he had said. "Sometimes it's not about overpowering them, it's about outsmarting them." With this wisdom echoing in his mind, Ethan adjusted his tactics mid-fight, using feints and misdirection to keep Zarek guessing. The crowd's reaction. As the duel continued, murmurs spread through the audience like wildfire. Many began to realize that this human was not just another challenger, he was proving to be a worthy adversary against their revered Grandmaster. "Look at him," exclaimed one spectator from a distant planet known for its fierce warriors. "He's making Zarek work for every move." "I've never seen anyone hold their ground like this against him," another chimed in. The energy in the arena shifted from skepticism to excitement as cheers erupted for both fighters, Zarek for his experience and prowess, and Ethan for his unexpected resilience and creativity. A moment of doubt. Zarek began to feel an unfamiliar sensation creeping into his mind, a hint of doubt. He had always been confident in his abilities, but this human was challenging everything he believed about combat and strength. Was it possible that this seemingly weak creature could actually defeat him? "Enough games!" Zarek roared suddenly, channeling his frustration into a powerful strike aimed directly at Ethan's center mass. Ethan anticipated this move. He ducked low and rolled to the side just in time to avoid being struck by Zarek's blade. As he came up from the roll, he executed a swift kick aimed at Zarek's knee joint, a calculated risk meant to destabilize the Grandmaster. Zarek stumbled slightly but quickly regained his footing. "You're clever," he admitted begrudgingly, "but cleverness alone won't win you this duel." Ethan smiled knowingly. "Maybe not alone, but it's part of my strategy." The duel intensifies. With renewed determination, both fighters pressed on with renewed vigor. They exchanged blows at an increasing pace, Zarek's strikes becoming more aggressive while Ethan remained agile and elusive. As they fought on, sweat dripped down their brows, each combatant pushed their limits further than they ever thought possible. The crowd watched in rapt attention as they witnessed not just a duel but an evolution, a transformation of both fighters as they adapted and learned from each other. In that moment of combat, it became clear, this duel would not only test their physical prowess but also their mental fortitude and ability to adapt under pressure. A new understanding. As they continued clashing swords amidst cheers and gasps from the audience, something shifted within both fighters, a realization that transcended mere competition. For Zarek Voss, it became apparent that perhaps strength wasn't solely defined by one's physical capabilities or advanced technology but also by adaptability and resilience, a lesson taught by this unassuming human challenger. For Ethan Cole, he understood that even against overwhelming odds, like facing an alien Grandmaster, there existed an opportunity for growth and learning through challenge. And so they fought on, two warriors from vastly different worlds discovering common ground amid their differences, a testament to what true combat could achieve beyond mere victory or defeat. Unraveling techniques. As the sun rose higher over the Galactic Military Academy, casting long shadows across the training grounds, the atmosphere crackled with tension and excitement. The human cadets, Marcus Stone, Luna Rodriguez, and Kyle Chen, stood ready at the starting line of the elite qualification course, their expressions a mix of determination and eagerness. Behind them, the alien instructors observed with a blend of skepticism and curiosity. The course begins. Welcome to the elite qualification course. Drill Sergeant Kesthor bellowed, his voice booming across the field. You will face challenges that will test your limits, physically and mentally. The first obstacle is a magma pit that simulates extreme heat and pressure. You will need to navigate through it without losing your footing. The trio exchanged glances, their confidence unshaken. We've got this, Marcus said with a grin, adjusting his gear. Let's show them what we can do. As they approached the magma pit, the ground trembled slightly beneath their feet, sending waves of heat rising into the air. The alien instructors watched closely, their eyes wide with anticipation. Would these humans crumble under pressure? Facing the magma pit. Without hesitation, Marcus led the charge, leaping into the pit with surprising agility. The magma glowed ominously around him, but he moved with purpose, using his training to find stable footing on the rocky outcrops. Luna followed closely behind, her movements fluid as she navigated through the treacherous terrain. Kyle was last to jump in, but he quickly adapted to the environment. Just like parkour, he shouted over the roar of bubbling magma as he executed a series of flips and rolls. The crowd erupted in cheers as they watched the humans maneuver through the obstacle with ease. Kesthor's jaw dropped in disbelief. These humans were not just surviving, they were thriving. The alien instructor's doubts. Are we sure about this? Lieutenant Parks asked nervously, his 6 eyes blinking rapidly as he observed the humans' progress. They shouldn't be able to handle this. Commander Vextra's mandibles clicked in agitation. Perhaps we underestimated them, he replied, his tone laced with concern. They're adapting too quickly. As Marcus reached the end of the magma pit first, he turned back to see Luna and Kyle not far behind. Come on. We can't let them think we're slow. With renewed energy, they pushed forward toward the next challenge, a crushing depth simulation designed to test their endurance under extreme pressure. The crushing depth simulation. The trio entered a large chamber filled with thick walls that began to close in on them from all sides. The pressure mounted as they descended deeper into the simulation chamber. The walls emitted a low hum that resonated through their bodies. "Stay focused," Luna called out as she felt her heart race. "We can do this together." As they descended further into darkness, Marcus recalled his training back home, how he had learned to control his breathing and maintain composure under stress. He shared this knowledge with his friends as they worked together to navigate through narrow passages and avoid obstacles that threatened to crush them. A test of teamwork. Suddenly, Kyle stumbled over an unseen rock and fell forward into a crevice. Without thinking twice, Marcus reached out and grabbed him by the arm, pulling him back just in time before the walls closed in completely. "Thanks," Kyle gasped, regaining his footing. "I owe you one. Just keep moving," Marcus urged as they pressed on together. The camaraderie among them grew stronger as they faced each challenge head-on. They communicated effectively, strategizing ways to tackle obstacles while keeping each other motivated. A moment of reflection. As they emerged from the crushing depth simulation victorious, sweat dripped from their brows but smiles adorned their faces. They had conquered yet another obstacle that had been designed to break even the toughest recruits. "I can't believe we did it," Luna exclaimed breathlessly. "Yeah. And we did it faster than anyone else," Kyle added enthusiastically. However, lurking behind them were Kazthor and other alien instructors who watched with growing concern. This was not how things were supposed to go. These humans were defying all expectations. Preparing for void jump. With little time to rest, they moved on to their next challenge, the void jump, a test that required recruits to leap from one platform to another while navigating through simulated zero-gravity conditions. "This is going to be tricky," Marcus said as they approached a series of floating platforms suspended in mid-air. "Just remember what we practiced," Luna reminded them. "We can use our momentum from jumping to propel ourselves forward." As they prepared for their jumps, Kazthor's voice echoed through their comms, "You will have only one chance at this. Failures will result in immediate disqualification." The trio exchanged determined glances before launching themselves into action. Defying gravity. One by one, they leaped off the platforms with incredible precision and timing. They soared through space like acrobats performing an intricate dance, each jump calculated yet fluid. "Look at them go!" Lieutenant Parks exclaimed in disbelief as he watched from below. "They're actually making it look easy." Kazthor clenched his fists in frustration. This was not how it was supposed to unfold. He had expected these humans to struggle and fail, yet here they were defying gravity itself. A new kind of respect. As Marcus landed gracefully on solid ground after completing his jump sequence flawlessly, he turned back to see Luna and Kyle following suit without missing a beat. Cheers erupted from onlookers who had gathered around, their disbelief transformed into admiration for these human cadets who had proven themselves against all odds. Kazthor could no longer deny it. These humans were not just participants, they were contenders worthy of respect. "All right," he muttered under his breath as he crossed his arms defensively. "Let's see how far you can take this." With each passing obstacle completed by Marcus, Luna, and Kyle, Kazthor felt a shift within himself, a growing sense of humility toward these remarkable beings who had come from a death world yet thrived under conditions meant for elite warriors across galaxies. The final challenge awaits. As they stood at the finish line of their first day of training, breathless but exhilarated, the trio knew there would be more challenges ahead. But together they had proven something extraordinary, that humanity's spirit could not be easily extinguished even amidst overwhelming odds. "Tomorrow is going to be even tougher," Kyle warned playfully while wiping sweat off his brow. "Bring it on," Marcus replied confidently as Luna nodded in agreement. Little did they know that tomorrow would bring unforeseen trials that would push them beyond anything they had experienced thus far, a true test of resilience that would leave an indelible mark on both them and those who dared underestimate humanity's strength. The climax and revelation. As dawn broke over the Galactic Military Academy, the atmosphere was charged with anticipation. Marcus Stone, Luna Rodriguez, and Kyle Chen stood at the entrance of the elite qualification course, their spirits high despite the daunting challenges that lay ahead. They had already proven themselves against the magma pits and crushing depths, but the void jump awaited them, a test that had broken many seasoned warriors. The Void Jump Challenge. Kaz Thor, the drill sergeant, watched from a distance, his scales shifting nervously between hues of green and yellow. He had underestimated these human recruits, but now he felt a mix of fear and curiosity as they prepared for what was deemed impossible. The void jump required not only physical skill but also mental fortitude, as recruits would have to leap from one floating platform to another in a simulated zero-gravity environment. "Remember," Kaz called out, trying to maintain some semblance of authority, "this is not just a jump, it's a test of your endurance and adaptability. Fail here, and you could be disqualified." Marcus nodded confidently. "We've got this. Just stick together." Luna and Kyle exchanged determined looks, their resolve solidifying. They had faced worse challenges back on Earth, this was just another obstacle to overcome. The jump begins. As they stepped onto the first platform, the gravity shifted dramatically. They felt weightless as they launched themselves into the air. Marcus took the lead, his athleticism shining through as he soared gracefully from one platform to another. Luna followed closely behind, her movements precise and calculated. "Keep your focus," she shouted as she landed on a distant platform, her heart racing with adrenaline. Kyle was next, using his momentum to propel himself forward. However, as he reached for the next platform, he miscalculated his jump and began to drift away. Panic surged through him as he realized he was losing control. "Grab my hand!" Marcus yelled instinctively, reaching out with all his might. With sheer determination, Kyle extended his arm. In a moment that felt like an eternity, Marcus managed to grasp Kyle's wrist just in time, pulling him back towards safety. "Thanks. That was close," Kyle exclaimed, breathing heavily as they landed on the next platform. The crowd's reaction. Below them, alien instructors watched in disbelief. Lieutenant Parks's 6 eyes blinked rapidly in astonishment while Commander Vexter clicked his mandibles in frustration. They had expected the humans to falter under pressure, yet here they were, defying all odds. "Are they even human?" Vexter muttered incredulously. "This is beyond anything I've ever seen." Kaz Thor clenched his fists in frustration. "They're breaking every rule of physics. This isn't possible." As Marcus, Luna, and Kyle continued their jumps with increasing confidence, cheers erupted from the gathered cadets who had come to witness this unprecedented event. The humans were not just surviving, they were thriving. Facing the final platform. As they approached the final platform, the highest point in the Void Jump Challenge, Marcus felt a surge of excitement mixed with apprehension. This jump would be their most difficult yet. It required perfect timing and coordination. "Let's do this!" Marcus shouted as they prepared for their final leap. They launched themselves into the air simultaneously, soaring higher than ever before. Time seemed to slow down as they flew through space, each second stretching into infinity. But just as they reached for the final platform, disaster struck. A sudden gust of wind caused them to veer off course. "Hold on!" Luna shouted as she fought against the unpredictable forces around them. In that moment of chaos, something incredible happened. Instead of panicking or losing focus, each cadet instinctively adjusted their movements based on their training and teamwork. They communicated silently through gestures and eye contact, an unspoken understanding forged through shared experiences. The moment of truth. With one final push of determination, they reached out together, fingers brushing against the edge of the platform, and landed safely on solid ground. The crowd erupted into thunderous applause as they stood victorious at the end of the void jump challenge. Kaz stood frozen in shock. He could hardly believe what he had just witnessed. These humans had not only completed an impossible task but had done so with an elegance that left him speechless. Unbelievable, he muttered under his breath as he glanced at his fellow instructors who were equally stunned by this display of human resilience and ingenuity. A new perspective. As Marcus turned to face his friends after their triumphant leap, a sense of camaraderie washed over him. "We did it. Together." Luna beamed with pride while Kyle couldn't help but laugh in disbelief at their accomplishment. "I can't believe we actually made it." Suddenly, a loud voice broke through their celebration. Commander Vexter stepped forward with an expression that mixed admiration and concern. "Congratulations," he said begrudgingly. "You have exceeded our expectations today." Kaz cleared his throat awkwardly before adding, "But this is only the beginning. There are more challenges ahead." Marcus nodded confidently. "Bring it on. We're ready for whatever you throw at us. The next challenge awaits." As they walked away from the void jump area, still buzzing with adrenaline, the trio knew that their journey was far from over. The elite qualification course was designed to push them beyond their limits. Each subsequent challenge would test not only their physical abilities but also their mental strength and teamwork. Little did they know that lurking just beyond the horizon were trials that would force them to confront not only external obstacles but also internal doubts, a true test of character that would define who they were destined to become within this galaxy filled with wonders and dangers alike. With newfound determination burning in their hearts and minds focused on success ahead, the stage was set for an unforgettable journey into uncharted territories where humanity would rise against all odds once more. The unexpected challenge. As the sun began to rise over the Galactic Military Academy, its rays illuminated the training grounds, casting long shadows that danced across the surface. Marcus Stone, Luna Rodriguez, and Kyle Chen stood at the entrance of the elite qualification course, their hearts pounding with excitement and a hint of nervousness. They had successfully completed the void jump challenge, but they knew that the toughest trials were yet to come. The atmosphere of anticipation. Drill Sergeant Kaz stood nearby, his scales shifting between hues of anxiety and determination. He had watched the humans defy expectations time and again, and now he felt a mix of dread and curiosity about what they would accomplish next. The atmosphere was thick with tension as instructors gathered around, whispering among themselves about the upcoming challenges. "All right, listen up," Kaz bellowed, commanding attention. "Today's challenge will push you to your limits. You will face the magma pits, followed by the crushing depth simulation. We expect nothing less than your best." Marcus exchanged glances with Luna and Kyle, their expressions filled with determination. "We've got this," Marcus said confidently. "Let's show them what we're made of." Facing the magma pits. The first obstacle loomed ahead, a vast expanse filled with bubbling magma that glowed ominously under the harsh light of the three suns. The heat radiated from the ground, creating waves of distortion in the air. Kaz watched closely as the humans approached, ready to witness their reaction to this extreme environment. "Remember," he warned, "the magma is not just hot, it's dangerous. One misstep could end your training here." "Don't worry about us," Luna replied with a grin. "We've faced worse back home." With that, they stepped onto a narrow path leading over the magma pit. The heat intensified as they moved forward, but instead of faltering, they adapted quickly. Marcus led the way, using his agility to leap from one rocky outcrop to another while Luna followed closely behind. A display of ingenuity. Kyle lagged slightly behind, observing his friends' movements carefully. He noticed how they used their surroundings to their advantage, finding stable footing on uneven rocks and using momentum to propel themselves forward. Inspired by their success, he decided to try something different. Hey guys, watch this. Kyle shouted as he took a running start and leaped into the air. Instead of landing on a rock, he aimed for a lower ledge near the edge of the pit. With a calculated twist in mid-air, he landed perfectly on his feet and pushed off again, launching himself toward another outcrop further ahead. The crowd gasped in astonishment as they witnessed his daring move. Impressive. Thor muttered under his breath, unable to hide his surprise. The heat intensifies. As they progressed through the magma pits, sweat dripped from their brows, but they pressed on undeterred. They encountered obstacles that tested their strength and endurance, narrow ledges that required careful balance and sudden bursts of heat that threatened to knock them off course. Keep moving. We can't let up now. Marcus encouraged as they navigated through the treacherous terrain. Just when it seemed like they were making great progress, disaster struck. A sudden eruption caused a wave of molten rock to surge toward them. Panic surged through Kyle as he stumbled backward. Run! Luna shouted as she grabbed Kyle's arm and pulled him forward just in time to avoid being engulfed by the fiery wave. A moment of unity. As they reached safety on a higher ledge overlooking the magma pit, they paused for breath, hearts racing from adrenaline and relief. They exchanged glances filled with gratitude. Teamwork had saved them once again. That was too close, Kyle panted as he wiped sweat from his forehead. We can't afford to hesitate, Marcus reminded them. Let's keep pushing forward. With renewed determination, they pressed on toward their next challenge. The crushing depth simulation awaited them just beyond the magma pits. The crushing depth simulation. Upon entering the next chamber, an eerie silence enveloped them as they descended into darkness. The walls began closing in slowly, a simulation designed to test not only their physical strength but also their mental resilience under pressure. Stay focused, Luna urged as she felt her heart race in response to the encroaching walls. We can't let fear take over. As they moved deeper into the simulation chamber, they encountered obstacles that required quick thinking and adaptability. They had to navigate through narrow passages while avoiding sudden drops that threatened to send them tumbling into darkness. A test of mental strength. Just when it seemed like they were making progress again, a loud rumble echoed through the chamber, a warning that time was running out before they would be crushed by closing walls. Keep moving. We can't slow down now. Marcus shouted as he sprinted ahead. They pushed themselves harder than ever before, each step fueled by determination and camaraderie. Together they faced every obstacle head-on, there was no room for doubt or hesitation among them. Emerging victorious. Finally emerging from the crushing depth simulation victorious, breathless but exhilarated, they knew they had conquered yet another challenge together. The crowd erupted into cheers as they stood at the exit point, victors against all odds. Thor stood nearby with an expression that shifted between disbelief and admiration. These humans were proving themselves time after time in ways he had never anticipated. Well done, he said begrudgingly as he approached them. You've completed 2 challenges back to back. Thanks. But we're just getting started, Marcus replied confidently. Preparing for what lies ahead. As they caught their breath and celebrated their victories thus far, the trio knew there were still more challenges ahead waiting for them on this grueling course, each designed to push them beyond their limits physically and mentally. Little did they know that lurking just beyond each obstacle lay lessons that would shape not only who they were but also how others viewed humanity in this vast galaxy filled with wonders and dangers alike. With newfound determination burning in their hearts, the stage was set for an unforgettable journey into uncharted territories where humanity would rise against all odds once more.